Hello everyone, can you hear me? Okay, that's that's fine, Amna. I can understand. Okay, yeah, yeah. Let's start the session. Let me see how many are there. Um, Amna, James, Karthik, Rohan, and Saif Ali. Okay, let's continue with the session. Yeah, today actually is module 5. There's HTML5 forms, audio, video, but in the previous session, we could not complete the module 4.3 because of some audio issues. So I'll just continue with that module 4.3. Yeah, we should be able to cover both this 4.3 and as well as module 5. Okay. Yeah. Let me just make it full screen. Yes. Yeah, in this module 4.3, we'll be briefly covering what is the page structure of an HTML5 page and how to move from, since most of the web designers, web programmers have been programming in HTML 4.01, from those pages which are in HTML4, how do you migrate to HTML5? We'll just take an example of a page which is designed in 4.01, and then how we can modify the tags, especially the div tags, to make it HTML5 compliant, or to make use of HTML5 tags. And also we'll look at what are the top level elements in HTML5 and how they can be used for structuring the page content. We'll also look at like what are the reference architecture of a web browser. This is not part of the course content, but just I thought of describing it so that you know what are the components of a web browser, and so that you can appreciate the web programming better. And we'll quickly even browse through cross-browser compatibility. This is mainly for Microsoft Internet Explorer version 5 and 6 and below, not beyond Internet Explorer 7. So if your page has to work in anything less than IE 7, then you may have to use this cross-browser compatibility. Since now IE version 11 has come, I don't think any users will be using this. That's why I'll just briefly mention it and then skip through. Excuse me. Yeah. This is the generic page structure of a HTML5 page. As you can see in the one indicated in the red color, so at the top, what you generally have a header, which actually it can contain either logo, menu items, search box, anything in which the designer feels is appropriate for the page. And at the bottom in purple color, you see footer. At the bottom, generally web designers prefer to put generally copyright page, or some designers would like to put menu items, and for example, connect through Facebook, connect through Twitter, and so on. So it's such icons they might wish to put it at in the footer. And then below the header comes navigation, NAV. So note that whatever I given here, header, nav, footer, all these are the HTML5 tags. So they're not a generic words. They are the HTML5 tags. So below the header, generally you can put the navigation. So some web designers would like to put navigation on the left side, generally, or most of them will prefer on the just below the header. This navigation element should generally contain the the main navigation links of the website. Like for example, home page, product services, contact us, about us, and such links. Below that actually comes between navigation and footer. So you generally see the main content. Your right hand side you can see aside tag. The aside tag, I mean, is optional. If a designer wants to put some advertisements on the right hand side or some other related information, they might embed that those elements inside the aside tag. If they don't want to put anything of that sort, then they can completely avoid this right hand side aside tag. And next one comes the section tag. Section element. This element might contain other sub elements, which is article. It could be more than one article. Section is the one which actually contains the main content of the page. As I said before, you can have articles inside a section, like as shown here, or if you're a news site, then you would like to structure sections inside article. Just the roles of section and articles in this page will get interchanged. That's all. Let's look on the left hand side. You can see a rectangle box which is indicated as HTML4. A page which is implemented in HTML4 will be using tags like this: div tag, which has got the ID value as header, and div tag ID value is nav. Note that this is the actual way web designers have implemented the web pages. Note that there is a correlation between the ID value here and the tag, header tag inside in the HTML5 side. This is because these web designers, they thought that it should be the first div tag should be categorized as header, and that's the reason why they named it as header. Taking clues from there, that type of usage, HTML5 designers have named the tags appropriately so that it becomes natural for them to use. And then the nav tag, this is also div tag. So inside this div tag, they would have enclosed the menu items. On the left hand side, you'll see the div article, div, and they'll have class article. Note that they didn't use ID here. This is because since you can have more than one article, so you should use it as a class, so that you can use the class value article on the more than one div class. And inside that you have the another div which has got class section. On the right hand side, you say div ID as sidebar. Note that in a page, there will be only one sidebar. That's the reason why they use ID. And similarly, a div ID footer at the bottom, because there will be only in this page they wanted to have only one footer. That's the reason they use the ID rather than class. And if someone has structured a HTML4 page like this, then it's quite easy to convert to a HTML5 page. Just replace that div tag with the header tag. So, and similarly, the second div tag which has got ID value nav, just replace with nav tag. And similarly, class article div tag, replace with article tag, and div class section as section, sidebar, footer, and so on. This is a very easy conversion from HTML4 to HTML5. If someone has not used such meaningful ID and class values, then you have to really look at the page, how it gets displayed on the browser, and appropriately say tag the appropriate portions as header, nav, articles, and section, and so on. Any questions here? You can type in the chat window. so the main intention of this page is that so whenever you design a page, always think in terms of this structure on the right hand side: header, navigation, article, section, footer, and optionally sidebars. Okay. Yeah, there are two questions. Saifali asked one question: can we create section tag inside the section tag? Theoretically, yes, you can create it, but if you want to and put something inside a section tag, then I would suggest to put it as an article tag. So unless if your structure requires that okay, it should be high level section and there is a inner section, then yes, you're free to do so. There's nothing that prevents. So did that answer your question, Saifali? Yeah, so just so these structure elements are for you to use and to have a meaningful structure of the page. If you think that okay, having a section inside a section makes meaning is meaningful for your web page, go ahead, use it. Yeah, Amna asked a question. When we use sidebar, the position of the other sections is adjusted automatically. Yeah. See, answer is no, it's not adjusted automatically. Provide if you don't give any CSS styling. Note that these elements, depending on whether they're inline elements or block elements, they'll take their own default positions. So, but when you want to change the default position, then you have to use the CSS position attributes and style it the way you want. To answer your question, by default, they won't get automatically adjusted. You have to use the CSS styling to position them wherever you want. Did that answer your question, Amna? Okay. So, see, when you use HTML5, note that any styling, it could be like color, font, positioning, anything. So, all of them, you have to style it in CSS3 only. And very rarely that you just define HTML5 page and it gets displayed the way you want. It's very, very rare. So, you have to use mandatorily the CSS3 styling to really position the way you want. Okay. Yeah. So here I just given two approaches how you can structure the top level elements in HTML5. When I meant here top level elements means what we just covered in the previous slide. That is the header, footer, sections, aside, articles. So basically here just I given algorithm which I explained briefly before that how to convert from 1 to HTML4 to HTML5. I'll just skip this. So there is something called HTML5 outline algorithm. So this is something which you can read up. You can just search for it in Google and then read up because this is more theoretical and not many people will appreciate it unless someone who is very passionate about how the HTML5 algorithm works in creating the outline. So you might just read about it. Yeah. So yeah, there's let me just go to the second approach. Whenever you are creating a HTML5 page from the scratch, then your job is a bit easier because now you're starting from a clean slate. In such a case, what you can use there's some tools called wireframe tools which are available on the web. Basically, like one of the such tool is Google Draw. Let me just show that. Let me just log into my Google account, Google Drive account. I'll log into my Google Drive account and so that I can demonstrate it. These wireframe tools are basically you have online tools and as well as tools which you can install on your machine. Basically, let me just go and create yeah, new. Oh, I don't know, some problem. So I thought of demonstrating it. I don't know, for some reason Google is giving an error. Let me just give you one more shot. Yeah, I got it. So if you just right click on this new button, so you will see the more. There you go down, there's something called Google Drawings. So select that. So these wireframe tools are used to really create the mock-up, the structure of the page. So generally, this is the this is you can think of like the if you are using some tools like IBM Rational Rows, so where you can draw the UML diagrams, and using these the UML diagrams you communicate the design from one person to another person. Similarly, whatever, let's say, web designer, web programmer, whoever it is, basically who's working on this web project, if you want to communicate the structure of the page, and you can use the wireframe diagrams to really communicate that. Note this is I got this drawing. So here I can just use you can use small boxes like this. Like for example, I can create a text. I can say username, and then you can just reduce the size. Just a minute, I got a call. So now here I created the field name. Then you would like to display input box, so you can define like this. So you might have to change the font size, what do you call, the background and foreground, so that it looks different. Like for example, you can come here and you might just fill color with probably a different color, something like the light green. So like this. Then you can add one more. So you can just copy paste the same thing here. So copy and then paste. Sorry. Copy and then paste, so you get it. So you can use this username and then select it, and then you can type in password like this. And let's say if you want to define the header, so you can just drag like this, and you say here, so header. So it's up to you, like say whether how you want to define. So similarly, you can have one more, and then you say here footer. Say here footer. Okay, and so on. So using this visually depicting using these the regular elements, you can define the page structure as I shown in the previous slides. Okay. Let me just log out. Hope that is clear. I just you got what is a wireframe tool. Basically, this is used. See, one way of doing it is some designer they'll just use pen and paper and then scribble it the page layout on a sheet of paper, and then you can say pass it on. But the disadvantage of that is that so once it is there, you draw it on a sheet of paper. You have to make multiple copies, photocopy them. That's one thing. Second thing is, let's say when you're drawing the page layout, let's say if you do a mistake, then whole paper you have to scrap it, then start afresh. So that will be waste your time and effort. So using these tools, you can just edit the way you want, and then finally you'll get final output. So that output you can just share it online and email it. So that is the advantage of using wireframe tools. Yeah, this is a question from Karthik. When creating the wireframe, how do we plan the layout based on the screen size and positioning? So generally, see, what you give in the wireframe diagram is basically the structure, the layout. So I don't think, see, let's say if you're, sorry, probably when you're designing the wireframe, so you mentioned that whether you are designing from the, sorry, whether you're designing for the desktop or iPad or for the mobile device, smartphone device. So yeah, probably even that is one way. You can have different layouts for the different size devices. Normally, you will not have more than 2 or 3. If you are going beyond 4 means, then you should think whether you are doing it right. Yeah. So screen size, like for example, since you have whether it's a 14-inch or a 22-inch display screen. So as long as the structure for the desktop remains same, just that the spacing around the element will increase. That's all. For example, if there is a small screen size of desktop of 14 inches screen and let's say 23 or 24-inch screen, then only the white space around the elements will change. Yeah, positioning will more or less remain same for a particular type of device like desktop. Probably, yeah, from the if you move to a mobile device, then you may not have that much real estate on the screen to display all the elements. Hence, you may hide some unimportant elements. Like for example, the right-hand side aside bar, you may not want to show on the right-hand side, rather than you show at the bottom. So such what you call repositioning of the elements will take place when you move from one device to another device. So otherwise, as I said, for the same device like say desktop layout will more or less remain same. Just that the white space around it changes. Did that answer your question, Karthik? Sorry. So while I was coughing, I muted myself. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Great. Yeah. So once you designed your page structure in a wireframe tool or on a sheet of paper, then you can basically start determining so which tag to use, which place. So generally, as I said, the top one will generally you try to put it as a header, the bottom as a footer, and then the place where you would like to have a menu. It could be on the left-hand side the bar vertically, or it could be like at the top horizontally, just below the header. You can have a nav tag there, and the main section you prefer to put it within articles and sections. And aside, as I said, it generally comes on the right hand side. Note that you can put let's say if you have a left hand side menu, then you might like to have as a just nav tag itself, or you can put a nav tag inside aside. So it's just like your convenience. But as a thumb rule, you should use the minimum number of tags as possible. So don't unnecessarily have too many tags, because especially when the screen readers, when they're reading, so they will be having a difficult time in reading it out to the visually challenged people. And then so what you do is since once you identified which tag to use for which element, so then you just create empty HTML page, so that you can have some dummy content in each of these elements, and then create it and then display it on the web page. So that we'll see it later. So once you do that, then you will get a feel for how the elements are placed on the web page. Then probably you would like to have go to CSS, style them, and then say the way you want. So once you get the layout the way you want as designed in the wireframe tool or in design in the on the paper. So once you get the look and feel of it, then you start get into the actual content and start filling the content. Okay, that is a general recommended structure, the workflow for designing the HTML5 pages. Yeah, let's go back to like for example, so hope you can see my notepad, right? So here, so I haven't created the wireframe, but I just taken, as I told you the other day, I taken the Edureka page, this one, the main page. I just logged in here. I don't want to log out. So as you can see from the last session, that I taken few portions of Edureka page, like here, the live classes, export instructions, and so on, and then I would like to create using the HTML5. You can see here I have the head where I have only the one title and so on. And coming to the body, so note that the top portion of the body I enclosed within the header tag. So note that earlier someone who had done it in HTML4, they would have done something like this: div id is equal to header. They have done something like this. Okay, they would have done something like this. So they would have used the div tags to mark up the header portion. So this is not the recommended way to do it in HTML5. Probably in HTML4 that was acceptable to get the neat layout, but now that's no more required. I'll just undo. So you have to use the header tag. So inside the header, as I said, header is just a container tag, and you can put whatever you think is appropriate inside that, any element, a valid HTML element, which you would like to display at the top row. So note that here I chose to display the image of Edureka. Here I use it width as 20%, and yeah, just one question. So here I use width as 20%. So do you see any problem with using width 20% here? Can you answer in this question? Is it right way to do it? If it's not the right way, then what is the right way? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, good. So okay, so I said that this is not the right way to do it. Yeah, yeah, I didn't get any answers. Yeah, so exactly, Amna answered correctly. Yes, so this is not the right way to style it, the image, because see, note that this is what I am displaying is the image element, and here I specified the source of the source where the file can be fetched from. So note that width is 20%. I am trying to style the image in the HTML tag itself. So this is not the right way, because you are mixing the styling with the element, which is not correct. You should separate it. Actually, with the width, you should be styling inside the CSS style sheet using the note that width and height properties are there on image element as well, so you can use it. In case on some element for some reason because browser has not implemented it correctly. So for some reason that height and width when you use it inside CSS does not work as you expect, then you may try it out using this width attribute inside this image element tag, start tag, and style it. Okay, did that answer? Is that clear? Yeah, this is not the right way, but just for simplicity sake, for brevity, I just use it here. So I didn't want to style everything in CSS. So note that this is not a good practice. So you can use it as a last resort, but not the recommended way. Okay. Then below the header tag, I'm going to have the nav tag, which stands for navigation. Note that inside navigation, I use 5 links with the A tag. Note that some of the designers would like to put these tags inside li tags, okay, like this. But this extra markup is not required. You see if something doesn't work, just using, let's say you want to enclose image and it's not formatting the way you want, then you may use li extra tags to style it properly. Otherwise, if it works just plain as is, then you can just go for it. Okay, as I said, you have to use them at the minimum number of tags to design the page. That way it looks neat and clean. So here, this is the menu items like home, courses, and blog. And note that again, when you click on home, it should go to, this is the home page of Edureka. Click on courses, it should go to the courses of Edureka page. Okay, like this, you can define the anchors of the navigation. Note that now below the navigation, I have the section tag. Section tag starts there and ends here. And within the section tag, again, you can have headers, and then each section can have each section and footer. If you would like to have, you can have headers and footers as well. There's nothing that stops you. So as long as you are basically, when you said header inside a section, what it means, this is the heading of this section. That's what it means. Similarly, each section you'd like to have some footer. Then you can put the footer for each section as well. So this header and footer for each section you'd like to have, like for example, if you recall the way blogs are structured, so generally when you want to show a blog, you'll show initially only a portion of the blog, top portion. In the top portion, you'll show the blog title and it will some 2 or 3 paragraphs in the bottom, and then you'll put some at the footer. You'll say that, okay, who's the author of the blog, when it was created, and so on. At the probably in light gray color at the bottom, and then probably on the right hand side a more link, because if someone is interested in reading about that blog, if you are able to get the user's attention, then you click on more to expand it, and so that you display the whole blog. So for such purpose, yes, you can still have headers and footers for each section. And below the header, again, header is optional for section. And so then inside the section, you can have any tags. You can have paragraph tags and anything which is a valid tag. You can still have it inside that. So here I have few paragraph tags. Note that inside the paragraph tags, again, I use an image tag and then some paragraph content. And note that below the first section, I have another section again which has got some heading 3. Note that I didn't use the header here, like this header tag. I use again heading 3 tag. Again here you can use H1, H2, H3. So H1 should not be used because this is not the first heading. Because first heading 1 should be used preferably at the top of the page as the heading of the page itself. Since it's somewhat inside the the main page inner content. So you prefer to use probably heading 2 or 3 or 4, 5. And then again you can use again, just again you can see here I use a div tags, but if nothing is appropriate for you, then you can go ahead and use the div tag. But for example, if you'd like, you can see here this should be like UL tag. Inside UL tag, ideally I should be using li tags like this. But just for the demo purpose, I'm just putting it as a div tags. So what it means is you can have, let's say here, the reason why I use a div is, for example, here what I'm listing here is not, if it is not a listed item, then you can use a div tag. But here in this case, I could have as well used li tags itself. And so this second section ends here, and then close the body and then HTML. So this is the basically the structure. Note that if you don't use the, just let me add. So I just, so that it doesn't find this CSS style. So when you display it, it gets displayed like this without any styles. So this is without any styles. Note that this is not the layout which you want. Obviously, this is very awkward. That's when you have to go back. So you have to go back to your style sheet, and you have to define the style for each of the elements. Like for example, for a header element, I have put font weight as bold, and what is the font family? I want the text to be aligned at the center. So clear left means I don't want any other elements, HTML element to the left side of it and to the right side, sorry, to the left side of it. So when you say clear both means on both sides you don't want anything. Only this element will be there in one line, and so on. And as you can see here, for body header, inside the body I use the blue color and the font. And here I would like to mention a few things in this style sheet. Note that font size you are familiar with using as a 20 pixels, or let's say in terms of percentages. To demonstrate, I use VW. So what does VW stands for? Can any of you give a try? VW. I use a V. These are units of measure. Yes, viewport. It's viewport. Yes, it is. The V. The first V stands for viewport. But what does W stands for? Saif Ali. Saif Ali, you are right. So VW stands for viewport width. Amna asked a question, what is the inline block? I don't understand it clearly. It is in nav block. Yeah. See, so inline block, basically you have to show us the block element for this inline element. That's what it means. Okay. So yeah, I would suggest you to refer to CSS3 style sheet. In W3 schools there is a CSS3 styling. You can look for the display, and display has got the multiple values which can be present. There they are given the more explanation, and you can they are given the explanation like demonstration for these as well. So you can, if you see it yourself, you can understand. So is that okay, Amna? Okay, thank you. Yeah, there is a slight difference between only inline and inline block, and so here I just use it as inline block. And coming back to VW. VW is units of measure for a viewport width. Here, whatever is my current viewport width, so basically one VW is equal to 1% of the width. So out of that, I use 2 means 2%. So specifying font size using VW units of measure will makes your page uh, the responsive. Responsive in the sense, depending on the size of your browser window, the font size also will increase or decrease appropriately. So that you can see it. And similarly, here also I used the font size 1.5. Note that the VW units need not be just integers; they can be real numbers, floating point numbers like this as well. And note that for demonstration's sake, I use all VW units here. And yeah, for font size alone, I use it. Note that all the places where a unit, the length is valid, so you can use the VW units. Just for demonstration purpose, I use it only on the font size, so that you can see that the font size of the page, so font size of the text displayed. Note that you can see here, so this is now bigger font. So when you're reducing the fonts, width of the window, you can observe this font size getting reduced appropriately. You see here? No, it's very small. Because now, so the font size of this text is 2% of the browser viewport width. Viewport width is right from here to here. So 2% of it. Basically, not until edge, until here. This is the viewport. The white background screen of this window, that's what is the viewport width. It is 2% of it. So with this, you can see now all the elements on this page are reduced proportionately. But note that this course categories alone is not reduced, because I have given absolute units for this course categories. That's the reason why, irrespective of the width, browser window width, it is always using that absolute dimensions, and it does not change. So that is the difference between using the relative units like VW and percentages compared to the absolute units. So generally this technique is used in whenever you are creating the responsive web pages. It's called responsive web design. This is like advanced concept in web programming. Basically using these responsive web design, simply RWD, you can basically create the web pages to display screen size of any size. It could be like, say, big desktop or the iPad, or it could be like a smartphone device. So this is one of the principles which is used for responsive web design. But there's another technique which is called media queries. You can use that as well for targeting the web page for different size devices. Is that clear? Okay, great. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, the vertical array I used, say, sometimes I use percentages. In few cases I use VW units, and so those are all relative units. Note that image width also uses the 5. So this is what is the recommended way of using it. So note that you can see, so the window, you can just remove it and then check it. So let me just remove this and then refresh it. So now it's bigger. So it's not reducing it. So that's the reason why you have to go there, and probably you have to change this parameter to get the size you want. Okay. So if it doesn't work, then you can use that width. let's go back to the, yes. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to cover. Note that one thing, like say text transform, I would like to brief here. Here I said that, okay, what are the text? Note that the text, what I you see here, this is P span. Look at here, P, and there's a span. Note that this guaranteed rapid action, and here domain expertise hands-on. Note that in the HTML page, I have given as a lowercase alphabets for this. This is because this is span inside the P tag. So, but here I use the text transform to uppercase. What it means is, I mean, irrespective of what is the uppercase or lowercase letters, I always wanted that text to be displayed in uppercase. That's the reason why, if you see here, so that text is displayed in the all uppercase letters. So even this changing from lowercase to uppercase also can be done using CSS styling. Okay. Yeah. Let's get back to the slides. Yeah. Here, like for example, you might know that what a web browser is. Okay, I hope all of you know. Just for completeness sake, I'll just briefly go through it. So basically, web browser is nothing but it's just an application like Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint. It's just an application for browsing the or viewing the web pages. That's all. So basically, if you use the latest browser, so basically it will render your HTML4 documents, or if there's an older version HTML4.01, it'll render that as well if it is backward compatible. So from one page to another page you can navigate, and on that HTML page, if there is CSS styling is defined, it will use that CSS style sheet to really style your page. And if you have embedded some JavaScript code, it will execute the JavaScript code and then take action whatever is required. Okay, these are all the things which a web browser does. So this you know. And as you know, there are only about 5 popular browsers. There are very other browsers depending on like operating system. Let's say like there are some variants of browsers on Linux versions as well. But these are the most popular browsers. Like Chrome browser is available for Windows, Linux, and mobile devices. Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer. Generally, it's there only for Windows. You know that because IE support only on Windows, not on other devices. So Apple Safari browser is there in Mac, Windows, and mobile devices as well. Probably support of on Mac will be much more complete compared to other devices like Windows desktop. There's also Opera software which gives Opera browsers. So this Opera actually started as a browser for mobile devices. Later they started migrating for the other platforms as well. As you can see, it's only there for mobile devices and Windows. I think it's not there for Linux platform side. And this is the reference architecture. Whatever I given indicated in the red dashed line, that is the reference architecture component. Reference architecture means that is a generic term. So at the generic term, like, so you will have some user interface, and you will have some data persistence module. You will have a browser engine, a rendering engine, and a module which should take care of networking. Again, a module which should interpret the JavaScript. For an XML parser module, which for parsing your HTML page. XML, because XML is a very generic version compared to HTML. That's the reason why they use XML parser to parse both HTML and XML. So note that if you have XML file, that also can be viewed inside a browser. So basically, this is a very generic parser which will browse HTML as well as XML documents. And then you have some module which will do the display. So as I said, the ones indicated in the red text and red dot dash lines is the reference from the reference architecture. As a specific case for Mozilla Firefox browser, so the one with the like black text and then black rectangles is the actual modules in the present in the Mozilla Firefox. So note that for user interface from the reference architecture has been implemented as 2 modules, and like for example, the browser and rendering engine in Mozilla Firefox is called Gecko, Gecko, Gecko engine. And see, networking module is again, it's called Neko module, and also for handling the security they have a separate module and so on. Okay, and they use like Mozilla uses a GTK library for actually rendering the displaying the windows, and then for basically all the graphics what you see on the screen. So all that is handled by your display background, that is using GTK library. So in the JavaScript interpreter in Mozilla Firefox is called SpiderMonkey. That's the name of the module. Okay. So what you need to basically, this is generally if for any browser, these are the more or less the components which are there in the browser. So data persistence is required. I mean, for example, like cookies. If you want to have some cookies, and let's say if you're doing any shopping on an online shopping site, then you need to persist some data on the browser side. So that is taken care by the data persistence. So in case of HTML5, there's something called even web storage. So that web storage functionality will be implemented by this data persistence module. Okay. So any questions on this browser architecture? So yeah, most of the time you don't have to open. Like for example, I myself didn't know this until a few months ago. Since I got interested in it, so I thought it will be good to present it in this class. So even if you don't know about this, it's still fine. But you should know that, okay, basically it will have one JavaScript interpreter and something to take that will do the networking, because ultimately the HTML page, HTML HTTP request sending and receiving, it will happen on the TCP/IP network. So network, it will have some networking, and then so for rendering, you should have some CSS engine, rendering engine, and for parsing the HTML pages, so you should have some parser. And so this for completeness sake, I put it here. So though it says cross-browser compatibility, so this is this is required only for IE browsers, not for other browsers. So historically, the reason why people invented this, these are called the shims, or sometimes they call it shiv as well, SHIV, shiv or shim. So what is the literal meaning of shim and shim? It's given here at the bottom. You can just read through it. So basically, it's a small piece, a piece of code which is inserted inside HTML document to make some things work. This is mainly for the IE browsers. For example, as you know, Microsoft IE browser has got bad reputation of providing HTML5 support, and for that matter, even other features as well. For that reason, what they came up is this shifts as a quick fix to resolve those problems. So basically, what you do is note that this left hand side, this is actually it's a HTML comment. Inside the HTML comment, you have this with the square brackets. You put if lt IE 9. What it means is if IE version is less than 9, then you include this one, HTML5 shiv.js, so that any features which is not supported in that version of IE, which are HTML5 related stuff, then this JavaScript will handle it in the JavaScript and execute it, so that the user experience will more or less the same as though that feature has been supported in the browser itself natively. So actually, this if that HTML5 feature has been supported natively by the browser, ideally this inclusion of the script JavaScript wasn't necessary. But just to overcome that problem, circumvent the problem, you put this. So these are called HTML5 shivs or shims. Okay. But since that IE11 has come and hoping that so all the users will be using latest version of IE10 or IE11, so these shivs are not required anymore, unless you have a business reason to support even older versions of IE browsers, then only you will require you have to use this shims. So you might be wondering what it does. Basically what it does is send some header, footer, section, article, nav, and these are all the tags which are defined in HTML5 natively. Since it is not supported by the IE, let's say 5 or 6 browser, to make IE browser happy, you are basically creating the elements to keep it. This is just like it's a dummy element. It's just like you do this inside the JavaScript. What you see in the blue text is the JavaScript. That's what is there in the this HTML5 shiv.js JavaScript. So basically, it will create some elements like this, and then it will make the browser happy, so that it will display as best as possible. So just here I give an example in HTML page how it looks. You can see here. This is a text. This is a HTML5 shiv. This is how generally you put it inside the head tag. That's how you use it. Okay. So that's the end of this module 4.3. So any questions here? So it's 9 o'clock. Karthik has a question why the HTML5 should be in the comments. As I said, see, it should be in the comments because the other browsers, let's say if that page is received by other browser other than IE Internet Explorer, let's say it's Opera or Chrome browser, then they should not, the other browser should not think that, okay, what is this, something new, new tag. So they will, they might behave unexpectedly, they might render it incorrectly. So to tell the other browser that, okay, so just ignore this because so you have to put that in the comment. Since once it is inside the comment, then other browsers, they think that it is just a comment and they just ignore it. So only IE browser alone, though it is a comment, it will check for this particular pattern, and if that particular pattern is present, then it will do some non-standard inclusion of the code. Did it answer your question, Karthik? Yeah, actually, you are right. If it is in the comments, it should not get executed. That's the reason why other browsers ignore it. But for Internet Explorer browser, so they go inside the comments as well. They parse the comments and then look for this specific pattern, and then take a non-standard action of including that code. So that's why it's not a standard. Okay, it's not a standard. Only for IE browser alone, I would say it's just I think if you are a technical person, you know it's called kludge. It's just a kludge. They put it in the IE browser. Kludge is something which is like something which works, but it doesn't make. It's not as per the good, as per the best practice. recommended practice. Okay. Did that answer your question, Karthik? Yeah. Okay, great. So it's 9 o'clock now. So let's take a 5-minute break. It's 9:03, and we'll be back in by 9:08. Okay. Shall we take a break here? Okay. So I think we are done with module 4.3, and we'll continue with module 5 in 5 minutes. Okay. So is everyone back? You can just please type in the chat window. James is back, Rohan is back, Saiful is back, Karthik is back. Okay, let's start. Yeah. So yeah, let's continue with our module 5, which is HTML5 forms, audio and video. This is module 5. So the objectives of this module is you learn how to create the forms in HTML5 and how to use them in audio and video. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, some of these things you might have already seen in the previous slides, but just I'm repeating here for the sake of completeness. Because at that time I just listed down, but I didn't get a chance to go through them in detail. But today we'll go through them in detail. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so whatever we'll be discussing today. So those are the new input types which can be used in the HTML5 forms. Note that when input is a tag, as you can see here, and it has got a attribute called type. So type will take different values depending upon what is the value you give to the type. So different input control will be displayed on the browser. So like for example, as you can see, whenever you're filling in the form, especially on a shopping site, you might have to provide your telephone number, contact number, because once let's say if they have to identify you or if they have to deliver the item to you, then they should be able to reach you on the phone, right? For that purpose you should provide the telephone number. So the way to like whenever you're giving the telephone number, note that telephone number will have only the digits, right, between 0 to 1, and it will not contain other special characters. So rather than showing the whole the screen, so whole keypad, so you'll be whenever you know that you are typing in the only telephone number, only the digits will be displayed so that you can enter them comfortably. Because when you have more real estate to display the just 10 digits. So the way this type information is used by the browsers, especially the smartphones, is that depending upon what input is users entering, so the keys the required to enter that input only will be displayed on the screen, so that you don't get distracted and you have all the keys which is required to enter that input. Like for example, when you're entering a telephone number, so you have to specify that as type is equal to tel. Note that it is not telephone, it is just TEL. Okay, tel stands for telephone. So here we'll come back to the label. So here this input field is required, it's mandatory. That's the reason why you have to give this as a required. So this is required is an attribute. If you don't give the required attribute, then it is optional input. So if you when you give as a required, but if you don't provide this input, then browser will throw an error saying that okay, this is a required field, you have to enter it. So unless you enter this some value valid value for this field, browser will not proceed to the next form element. And you can have a regular ID attribute, which is a phone or whatever you can have. And next thing is, so note that so most probably the browsers will handle that, since it's a telephone number, it can do the validation. But if it browser is not doing the validation, you can always specify the regular expression pattern, which will be used to validate the data. So here you can see most probably the implementers of the browsers may not do the automatic validation. If they don't do it, so you can always specify here. The one reason they don't do it because the telephone numbers will differ from country to country, right? So the pattern. So that's the reason they may choose to not implement it. In such a case, you can specify using this pattern. So basically here in this pattern, as a value, you have to provide some regular expression pattern. So here you can see the plus. I hope all of you are familiar with regular expressions. Are you familiar? There's something called regular expressions. Karthik doesn't know what is regular expression. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I want to see even if more people doesn't know, then I would like to spend some time on it. Otherwise, I don't want. Okay, 2 people responded, 3 responded. Okay, so yeah, 4 people responded that okay, they don't know. Yeah, this is a important thing which I would like to cover. So see, regular expressions is a what should I say? Let me just it's a basically computer science concept. Let me just give an example so it is clear. See, let us say, so this is a character. So B is a character, C is a character. Let us say you want to tell that, so you are able to accept as a input, a valid input. So this is valid input. So valid input could be, it could be A or B or C. Okay, any one of them. The way you specify is what is called, you have to specify like this. So when you put something as a within the square bracket means, so it means any one character which is listed inside this is a, so note that this whole square bracket represents only one character. So that one character can be any one of these things what is mentioned here. Means it could be A or B or C. So okay, let's take a very simple example. Okay. So now, so this is a valid input, then you can specify like this, just A. And let us say you want to have input, let's A, sorry, double A, like this. Now you want to tell that any number of A's. Okay, it could be unlimited. So how do you specify that? So the way to specify is you can specify what is called A, and then you can give plus. So here plus means one or more. More means it could be anything, unlimited. So the same thing, rather than telling that, okay, so A, double A, triple A, 4 A's and so on, any unlimited, I mean, any number of A's is a valid input. So that in a very short form, you specify like this, A plus. Let us say if you want to have even empty, so that's what I say, just empty is nothing. Nothing also as a valid input, then instead of A plus, you say A star. Okay, so let me take an example here. Let's take this example and then I'll explain this. So basically the regular expression is this expression which will specify a generic form of input which is acceptable, which is valid. If it does not follow that pattern, then like for example, if you give a text like this A1A, then this is not valid because this contains 1 which is not there in the, which is not specified in the pattern. That's why this is invalid. Okay. So let's see what this does, what this specifies. And one more thing, let us say you want to accept only these one. Let's say only 1A, 2A and 3A's. So anything more than 3A's is not acceptable. Then you specify what is called 1, 3. What it means is minimum you should have 1A, and so A, what is it before? A is here, what is following before? It should have minimum 1A and maximum 3. Anything more than 3 A's are present, then it is not valid. So in that case, this is valid, this is valid, this is valid, and these, since this is 4 A's and these are the invalid inputs. Okay, only first 3 are valid inputs and the next 2 are invalid inputs if you specify a regular expression like this. Okay, so yeah, let's coming back to this expression here. Since I specified plus, means what it means is you can have a number. So yeah, one more question is one more thing is question mark. Question mark means it either only 1 or 0. Question mark means 1 or 0. If it is present, then it has to be present only 1. If it is not present, it's fine. So if you remember, so you can have a number. So you can have number like this. If you remember, the mobile numbers will be prefixed with like this, mobile or any numbers. So what it means is this international prefix plus means. So even if it is not present, that's also fine. So means plus, and then here between 0, see there is a 2 hyphens here, hyphen and this hyphen. The first hyphen means the digits between 0 to 9. Let me just explain. So this means this is equivalent to, this is equivalent to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. That's what. So this is a valid regular expression. Even this is also a valid expression. Rather than giving all the digits, this is a shortcut notation. So that's what I used here. And after you specifying the shortcut notation, if you give this another hyphen means, there it means it's a actual hyphen itself. What it means is, so any, so 901, and then you can have, so this is the valid telephone number in US. So this is I think this is called area code, region code. I don't remember. So I think this is called region code, and this is called exchange code, and this is actual the telephone number. So since within the telephone number you will have the hyphens, this hyphen, yeah, when it is present, then it should be accepted as a valid input. In such a case, so you have to give hyphen like this here. So that's what it means. So here you specify, okay, it is any digits from 0 to 9 or hyphen, and maximum it can have, if you remember, this curly brace you can see here. So curly brace means whatever is the expression which is preceding, that is this, can occur only about minimum 10 times or maximum 20 times. And because when here, like for example, here it will have 10 digits and then so 2 hyphens. So ideally speaking, you can put as just like say 13. This is also fine. Okay, so that's what it means is, so the digit should contain only the digits and then hyphens, and minimum 10 or maximum 13. Note that even if you give like this 901, 234, 2345, even this also the phone numbers which is on line 17 and line 18, both will be accepted by this regular expression. Even if you give like this is also accepted. So note that this one is line 18 is without plus, this is with plus. Both will be accepted. So you can give even this is also accepted. Even this is accepted. I mean, like say, note that this contains only hyphens, but no plus. All these are valid inputs, which is valid, which is matched by these regular expressions. So basically, for specifying the different patterns, input patterns, you use the regular expressions. Is that clear? This, basically regular expressions can be very complicated. Actually, there are books written on regular expressions itself. So these regular expressions, how they specified. Note that here the square brackets and the curly brace and question mark plus and star. You might see I haven't used star, but star and a plus. The plus, all these are they have got special meaning. The meaning will differ from one language to another language. Like say the regular expressions in Java, C++, C#, Perl, Python, and even like say HTML. It will differ from the language context to language context. But generally, syntax might vary slightly, but more or less the concept is the same. Is that clear? What is the regular expression? Okay, great. Yeah. So here I specified a regular expression pattern for this input type, and similarly, whenever I want to specify that okay, I would like to accept only the emails. So then you have to specify type as email. Okay, and similarly, when you want to take a URL, then you have to say type is equal to URL. Note that whatever is the text which is shown here in the green color is the new values which are defined only in HTML5. What it means is they are not present in HTML 4.01. Note that type attribute does exist in HTML4 as well, but only thing is these new values doesn't have any meaning in 4.01, but they have a meaning in HTML5. Okay, and you have seen that. So basically, anything like when you want to when you display the input box where the user enters the text, but you'd like to describe what that field is, so that you put inside the label. Like for example, this is a phone number. So note that there is something called for attribute. So the field name you have to describe inside the label tag. So label tag wasn't present in HTML 4.01. It is new tag in HTML5. So the purpose is to associate the input box with the corresponding the label, and also since you enclose it inside a label tag, so you can basically style it using CSS. And basically this one of the important attribute for label is the for attribute. For attribute, so here whatever you see here, the phone, the value for attribute should match with the ID attribute of the corresponding input. You see here this phone, this ID value should match with this value of for attribute. Means this input is corresponding to this label. That's what it means. Association. So this association, when you associate this way, then browsers can take advantage of it to give a better user experience. And note that to indicate that this is a mandatory field, I defined a span tag. Okay, so where I defined a class as well for this span, and then I indicated a star. So note that this star I would like to indicate as a red color, so that when user know that it is a mandatory field. You might be familiar with this way of this is just a convention. Like that's how web forms are displayed. I'm just zooming it. Yeah. And similarly, as you can see that most of the websites, there will be some search box for searching for the articles and then the items. For example, if you want to search for something within the page or on the website, then you would like to have search box. For having the search box, you will have type is equal to the search. And how many results to be displayed, you can show in the results as a results attribute as well. And similarly, let's say if you want to enter a range of numbers, then you can use the value as the range. And similarly, the number. So note that difference between this one and this one is that the range will have minimum and maximum. Here minimum is 2, maximum is 10. Only you are allowed to give only in this range, and here you can give the default value. So whether you want to show, when you show as a range, then probably you will see some the browser will display a slider bar, and in the slider bar you can just there will be slider, you can just using the mouse you can scroll it. Where in case of a number, so you have to manually enter the number. So when you are entering it, here also you can specify what is the minimum value, maximum value allowed. Some browsers will display it as a what do you call, basically the up arrow or down arrow, so that you can just click on up arrow, it will increment. When you click on the down arrow, it will decrement. So some browsers will display as that as well. So it depends again, varies from browser to browser how to implement this number. Note that yeah, this has to be in green color to follow my convention. So I will have to display this in green color. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. Similarly, for showing the date and time, you can use the date time local, and just for showing only time in 24-hour format, this time. Like for example, if you want to choose the color, so you can use the type is equal to color. So yeah. Similarly, I'll just demonstrate all this in one shot. I would like to cover all of them so that I can demonstrate all of them in one shot. Let's say, for example, you want to select only the date. Like for example, in case of taking a marriage date, probably some dating sites might be interested in collecting your marriage date because they would like to wish on your marriage date. I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing it. So then you can have type is equal to date. And for example, if it is a project management site, they would like to capture what is the week, and then so on and so on, even month as well. By specifying different values, date, week, and month for the type attributes. So browser will display. So will basically display different control to accept different input. For example, in case of a week will be shown like this: week 32, 2004. So September 2014 is for the month. So just for the people who don't know how to count the week, basically the week are counted as per the calendar. Like so if you take the January, the first when it is starting that week, from that week onwards you count 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay, that is the start of, that's how these weeks are numbered. Okay, let's go back to an example. Yeah, this is one demonstration of the HTML5 forms. So note that this is a little long because here I put all the input format input types. So here, that's why it's a little long. So let me just show how the page looks. Yeah. So this page I'll show here. Let's copy paste. I'll just copying the full path, and then pasting it. Yeah, that's how it good. Okay, so so let me just so these are the form looks. So you can see this is I used almost all of the um, input types, but there are some things which I missed it out. But you can always uh, put them and then try it out yourself. So let me just go through the form. Note that the form should be defined using the form tag. So ID is optional. So if you want to style it using the ID, then you can specify it. If you don't want it, you can delete it like this. So this is also valid. Just for styling purposes, you would like to put either ID attribute or class attribute. And inside the form, note that all the forms you should enclose using the form tag. And below that, note that you've seen, so when you have a long form, you have to group them based on their purpose. Or so basically group it such that they have logical grouping. Like for example, here I did a grouping of registration login details. Okay, so note that just search for a user. Let's say if you don't know what is a like for example in case of Skype, you want to search for user ID. In such a case, you use this, but this may not make sense. The search for user field does not make sense under this grouping. Just for demo purpose, I put it there. So here for this, if you want to group a set of fields, then you can enclose them using what is called field set. You can see here. So the field set basically will group is used for grouping the logically related the fields. So field set, that's the field set start tag. This is a field set end tag. So that's how you define it. So once you define a field set, basically you will get this the thin that line rectangle box which is enclosing those 4 fields automatically. So then inside that you have to define what is called the legend. Legend, when you inside a field set, if you define a legend, so that legend, what is the registration login details, that gets displayed as here. That's a legend. And after you define the legend, then you can have any number, any valid the tags. Generally, since it is a form, you would like to put only some paragraph elements or images, or mainly the labels and input boxes. Note that what here I defined as a paragraph tag. So that paragraph tag select a login ID and a password. So that get displayed here. So note that the styling, how much space should be on left hand side, what should be the color, what is the font, everything you have to style it inside a CSS. So that styling I have done it here in this file. This is a log file. Note that whenever you are designing such a sophisticated forms, this CSS styling will be a little longer. And then comes the label. So note that this for user ID and this user ID they will match. They are matching. And then here I specified user ID and then span. So here the class I declared required and then star. So that star is displayed as the red. You can see here red color the star. So this star. So you can see here in HTML5 search for required. Oh, sorry. So here you can see So on that class required, you can see dot. So that is so yeah. Karthik has a question. Class is equal to required is a keyword. No, it's not a keyword. So it's just like required is a just a, what you call a value. You can give anything. So like for example, if you don't want required, you can change it to mandatory. Anything. So like you can say required care, something like this. Okay, you can define. So you can have value anything what you want. Just for it's see this required is, please do not confuse this required which is the value with this required. So here in the an input required is an attribute. Here the required is the value. Both are different. So here in case of class, you can give any valid text and that's acceptable. Whereas here you have to give required only. Is that clear, Karthik? Just to, for what you call to keep it consistent, I just use the same word. That's all, nothing else. So note that here, whatever is there in the required class. So I want the color to be red, okay, or whatever the font size. I'm just inheriting from its parent. So here its parent happens to be the label. Label is its yeah. So since I enclosed this span inside the label, its parent is label. So whatever is the parent font size, so it's same thing. It will inherit. So that inherit is another value, which is you can specify for most of the CSS attributes. So when you say inherit means its parent attribute will be inherited. Parent value for that attribute is inherited. So yeah, that's what I specified the label, and then I followed by input. Input, I said this is a mandatory field, and here since this is a since user ID could be any text, so I said it's a type is text. Okay, this user ID is the value, so that it gets associated with this label, and then here I can specify the max size. Like say how many maximum number of characters that can be. I think yeah. So this size is the size of this element. You can see this box, rectangle box. The size of the rectangle box is what is the size, and max length. Max length is the maximum number of characters that can be accepted, and here I specified even the regular expression pattern. What is valid? So by specifying like this, now the browser will do the validation. So note that here I given again caret is another pattern which says that okay, it should start with alphabet A to Z, and then here I given, and again note that within square brackets it could be any alphabet or digit or underscore or dot, and the minimum number of characters is 3 or maximum is 19. The placeholder is like, for example, when initially when it's empty, this text is displayed. You can see here user ID is displayed here. Let's say if you want to enter something like say enter the user ID. So that placeholder, and you see here this place, I am refreshing it. You see that enter user ID. Basically, this placeholder is meant for displaying inside that box, so that basically you are giving a instruction or clue to the user that okay, what user should enter here. So there is a debate whether to use the placeholders or not, because I mean, if user sees that okay, something is there inside the box, some users may mistake that okay, the user has already entered value into that input box, and he may miss out to enter it. So if you do it, let's say it has to be very what we call gray color. It should appear that it should be there, but it should appear as though it's not there. Since if you don't do it correctly, and also this displaying of placeholder vary from browser to browser. That's the reason why some designers recommend not to use the placeholders, but the option is there. And the title is whatever you put into the title. So as you know, so When you put cursor on it, so it displays. You see that pop-up. So it displays in the pop-up. The title always, whatever you specify in the title, that displays the pop-up. So ideally, you can use either placeholder or title, but it's better to use, since placeholder displaying changes from browser to browser, it's recommended to use the title. Okay, that is about the user ID. And similarly, if you want to get the password from the user, then note that here I specify the type is equal to password. The difference between the type is equal to text and type is equal to password is that in case of a text, like whatever you enter, like for example here, so the text is displayed as is, whereas in case of a password, note that whatever I type in, so text is not displayed, only the dots are displayed. So that is the difference between the type is equal to text and type is equal to password. Okay. Yeah. So Saif Ali has asked question, what is small tag? Yes. Good. You're observing. Yeah. Small tag is another tag which is used for basically displaying some text in a small font. So that's all. So you can see here. So at the bottom, let us say you would like to give something in a small font, so which is smaller. So note that you see whatever you give at the bottom of this input box is also again instruction to the user. Note that sometimes user will not be able to understand what is expected there in that input box. So then ideally there are three ways to do it. Either you can use the placeholders to put it here like this. Like enter a user ID. You can put it like that. For example, in case of full name, so I use first name followed by middle name followed by last name. Note that first name, middle name, last name is actually displayed from the placeholder. You can see here. First name. Yeah, you see here this placeholder. First name, middle name, and last name. So that placeholder is what is displayed. Note that I haven't entered anything, but this is just placeholder. So instruction to the, like, what is the format? What is the order? Should it be first name, a last name, or last name, first name? So this is just instruction. As soon as you put the cursor there, so that will disappear. You see here. This is like say Srinivasulu Saya. So it disappeared. So once you remove again everything, it will appear back again. So that is a placeholder. You can use the placeholder, or you can use this title to display the tooltip, or you can use even basically use such small tags, such small tags, so it gets displayed here. Like for example, you say type in your first name followed by your last name. So that is the instruction you are giving to the user. So I would suggest you to use only the tooltip and or this small tags like this for forms. Don't use this placeholders as far as possible. Okay. And is that clear, Saif Ali? Yeah, James has a question. How do we link the CSS in HTML5? James, it's the same way we use like if you remember, so using this link tag, this in the header. So you say link relationship REL. REL stands for relationship. Value as style sheet, and href is the location where that CSS style sheet is present. So as I said, this href value can be absolute URL, relative, or relative URL. In relative case, it could be document relative or root relative. Is that clear, James? Okay. So yeah, let's coming back to this. So note that so let's look at the search for a user. So if you see, look for the search for a user. You see here, search for a user. It is again, so this I defined a label, whereas type is equal to I defined as a search, and it has got some other attributes as well. Results is equal to 5. So some browsers may use this value results value, or they may just ignore. It depends on the browser. Okay. probably this value, if it is specified in a JavaScript, you can extract this value and then pass it as a parameter to the backend, so that it returns only 5 results. So it depends something like application designers how to use this value, or it depends on to some extent like how browser uses this value as well. So as soon as you define type is equal to search, note that deliberately I didn't put in double quotes, but ideally you should put it in double quotes. What I mean to say is, even if you don't put the double quotes also, it still works. But it's a good practice to put the double quotes. So as when you define type is equal to search, so what you get is a input box similar to the text, but only it will display extra icon, which is that lens icon on the left hand side or right hand side depending on the browser. So what it means is, so since this lens icon signifies that you would like to search for something using this magnifying glass, so that is the indication that now you would like to search for something. So you can enter the value like this, and note that so ideally there should be some button on the right hand side. Okay, or as soon as the value is entered and then click on the button, basically it should fire a query to the backend server to search for that user ID or to search for that item what is being entered. So note that I haven't mentioned anything for displaying that lens icon. As soon as you say type is equal to search, the browser will display the lens icon for you. Yeah, see, yeah, Karthik has a question. It searches in the web. No, it does not search in the web by default. So it is up to you to do. See what you should do. So let's say if you want to search the web, so take the query, whatever the user has entered. So that query you should probably you have to extract using your JavaScript or jQuery, and that you should put it in a HTML URL. Sorry, HTTP URL, and then fire a backend query to the backend server. So extracting from the input box, composing the HTTP URL, firing to the backend query, and getting it and displaying everything you have to do it. You have to program it manually yourself. Browser will not do it. Browser will only display that input box with that lens icon. That's all it will do. Is that clear, Karthik? Yeah, let's go back to the second one. So your contact details. Note that here I covered. Yeah, salutation is, you can see here. You can see by clicking on the, so you will get the different menu options. Like for example, how do you want to, what salutation should be used? Let's say Mrs., Miss, Sri, Srimati, and Kumari, and so on. So this you can specify. So yeah, here you can see I have the input box for salutation. Sorry, it's a label for salutation, and the input box here type is equal to text. Note that along with when you specify type is equal to text, so I also specified list, which is salutation list. The list is also another attribute in HTML5. Note that for this salutation list, I am searching for it. So this salutation list, so I put it at the bottom. Note that it's there at almost at the end of the HTML page. So like for example, if you are listing the list of all the countries, so then normally most of the web pages currently what they do is they put all the options in place where it's used. So like for example, there are like 270 plus countries. So you have to name all those list of countries in that here itself. Note that how difficult it will be. Like if I had listed all the countries, like here, like where in place of salutation. Yeah, here. So assume like rather than salutation, it is like say country to which country you belong to. So here I would have just given a select tag, and here in this place itself I should list all the countries, which will actually obstruct the flow of the HTML. So Abstract means basically when you have a long list in which you're not interested in the list, knowing all the list of countries, and then you somewhere down follows again the other rest of the HTML. To avoid that problem, so you can just specify the list and give the salutation list, and the salutation list actually you can define somewhere at the bottom. So this could be long since it is at the end. So no, like so once you are done with the body tag, so most probably you will not be interested in the looking the rest of the content because that will contain only the other details. So note that the way to define this list is use the data list tag. So this is also a new tag in HTML5. So you have to give this ID, the value. This value should be used in that list attribute. And here you can give what are the options. This is like a so in case of normally you should have you would have used something like you should use the select tag like this. So using this data list, so all this the long list of options you can put it at the end. Yeah, is that clear? Data list. What is the purpose it is to be used? Okay. Yeah. So that is a list property. Sorry, list attribute of this input tag, and so note that this list you can use it on the input or you can use it on the select tag as well. And say this is the full name. Here we covered almost all the attributes, and this is a telephone. We covered telephone as well, and this is a pattern. And yeah, in case of a, let's say if you want to type an email, so you have to say it's email. So rest of it all like familiar. Note that for doing the validation, the regular expression pattern for email ID is a little complicated. It's very long. Even this is not very accurate because so email IDs, as you know, it's one of the difficult element to really write in a unique regular expressions. To really cover the most generic expressions, this becomes really, so not most generic, most accurate regular expression. So the regular expression will become very complicated. But so you can do reasonably good validation and using this pattern, and rest of the validation probably you can do it in JavaScript or you can do it in the back end. And yeah, so if you want to get a URL, then you should say type is equal to URL. Okay, and yeah, so that's it. So since you given us the data list, and you click and you get this, you can choose any of them. Okay, and similarly phone number, if you try, okay, if you try to give like this, so it's accepting it, but you should do the validation. But note that some browsers may use it, some browsers may not use it, but generally these values, type values, will be used by the smartphone devices where you have to display the keyboard as well on the screen itself. So currently, it's not basically sometimes some browsers what they do after entering the values when you submit the form at that time they will do the validation as per this patterns. Okay, and email also you can define say by like this. Okay, so you can give email ID here, and in case of page URL you can give like this. Fine. So note that the validation, though you use the input type as URL or email, so validation may be done by the browser or may not. So, but it is up to you to do the validation either in the JavaScript or in the on the backend side. So coming down, I define another field set with like user personal information. So that's what is displayed here. So note that here I would like to get the date of birth, time of birth, hair color, age, and so on. Note that here for date of birth I given type is equal to the month. Here means it will accept only the months. Okay, you can see here. So it will take, so whenever you select something, so note that even though, so I pick the date, but since I defined as only month, it is only displaying the month. Let's say if you go back to January, let's say if you pick any date, only the month is displayed. So if you want, so rather than month, if you want to give you a date, then change that type value to date, and then so observe it. I'm refreshing it. Note that it is showing a different tag. So now if you select some value, then it displays the date. So you can go forward, backwards, and select the date, and the appropriate date is selected. That's how you can use the date. And similarly, you can use other month, week, and so on. Similarly, for a time, like time of birth, you just say type is equal to time. So here time you can, so you can see you can increase, decrease. Note that these controls will differ from browser to browser. So here you can give like say 00 or say 30. So you can enter manually, or you can use this up arrow, down arrow. Okay, select like this and change values like this. That is for time. Similarly, for let's say for some reason, like for example, it's a your hairstyle. It's a some website where it's a style. What do you call? Makeup. Some company which basically specializes in makeup and then hair dyeing. In that case, they would like to know your hair color. In such case, you say type is equal to color. Here. So when you say your hair color, you click on this, and you will get this color palette. Then you can go and choose some color, whatever color you want. Like you can see a red or blue, whatever, and then select OK, and that color is selected. So here, note that not all the browsers. Let's see. Yeah, it changed. So means you selected that color. So when you get using JavaScript, you have to get this color code, which is in RGB format, and then you have to use it appropriately. So in case of age, I just use a type is equal to number. Okay, and note that I defined even so size maximum 3 means only 3 digits. So like until 999. So minimum value is 18 years, maximum is 120 years. Assume that okay, person doesn't live beyond 120 years. So here I can give, like for example, as soon as you give up arrow, so it starts with 18. So when you even if you click down arrow, it doesn't go below 18 because there's a minimum value I defined. So you can use up arrow to increment it, down arrow to decrement it. So it does not go below 18. So again, like how this browser will display, again changes from browser to browser. And the next comes the height. So height, I use the range. Type is equal to range. Here I defined so maximum like values by default. Assume like everyone is a default like 5 feet. So I use default value of 5 feet, and then so minimum is 2 feet, maximum is 10 feet. So here, so you can use. So you said this is 5 feet. Sorry, this is 2 feet, and then this is 10 feet. So this is how you can use the range. So see, Chrome chooses to use the range like this, and some browsers they might use some horizontal line, and on that you will see this slider. Okay, so it depends again from browser to browser. So the value is shown on the right hand side. Note that value is not shown by default. Okay, so for that you have to do the special programming for it. So your input type where it displays this. So this type is equal to range, that displays only the first rectangle which is now got blue color border. So on that, so below that input box I defined another input, okay, where type is equal to text and size is equal to 2, okay, and then on the first input I defined an event attribute called on change, and then I use a JavaScript here, print value height and then height value, okay. So basically this JavaScript function, what it does is, it whenever the on change event gets triggered, whenever I change the value by moving this slider either left or right, so anything, even slight change yeah, any change that happens on this slider will actually trigger this event, on change event. So then this JavaScript function is called. So inside that JavaScript function you can see here print value. So basically here I am giving the slider ID. So this is a little bit JavaScript which we'll cover later. Basically this height, okay, this height should match with this ID here, this ID, and then the height value. So height value is the where you would like to display that value. So that ID, this height value should match. So basically you are passing the ID value from which you want to read the value, and then the ID of the input where you would like to display. So both you are passing. So there is a little bit of JavaScript. Basically you search, here get the element by ID, and then so you get the x and y x value, okay, and the slider ID is the what you change, and you take that value and set it to this x value where you would like to display. That's how what are the value you change here, know that it doesn't get displayed automatically for you. Probably even as a user I would have expected it, but yeah, to give the flexibility they haven't done it so. So to display like this value 6 or value 10, note that after I leave the cursor only then that gets updated, because that's when JavaScript kicks in and then displays the new value. So that's the extra JavaScript programming you have to do. That's about print value. So next comes the gender. Any questions until now? It's 10 o'clock now, 10:06. So let's take a 5-minute break. Okay? Just 5 minutes. It's 10:06. It's 10:07 now. So we'll be back by 10:12. Yeah, I'm back. So any questions until now regarding any input controls, like how to use? Okay, yeah, it's 10:12. Let's start. So next is let's go back. Yeah, we covered until this. This is the slider. The next is the gender. So note that sometimes you'd like to give only like radio buttons. As you know, radio buttons. Okay. So you can only choose between that given inputs. Note that here I'm not given only male or female, but you might argue that there should be like a third category as well. Just I don't want to get into that debate. So just for some demo purpose, I just use only male, female for the gender. So the way you display these radio buttons is using, as you can see, you have the label for the gender, and then as the input, then type is equal to radio. That is what is you have to define. And name, let's count. See this ID. So you can define any ID if you want to style it differently, or you can use this for any other purpose that might be appropriate. So one important thing here is that this checked attribute. When you give this checked attribute, means by default when the page is rendered, this radio button is checked. That's the reason why you can see here. So like for example, when I refresh it, so that is by default checked. So that's how you can avoid user explicitly entering that. So then you have to give type is equal to radio. Note that this is for two buttons. So note that when you define when you specify this input, the control, what get displayed is only this little small rectangle with the circle inside and the dot inside it. Only this input control is displayed when you have this type as input radio. Note that just having that radio button is not sufficient. You should give, like say, what that radio button is for. So then you should use another label tag, or you can use again a span tag, anything that gets that displays a small text next to it. So you would specify that it is a mail, and then another radio button, and then another label or a span. So it's up to you how you want to use it. But I would suggest you to use say span because that's easy to style it. So here I used just for demonstration purpose, that way you can use label tag as well. But the problem is when you use the label tag here and label tag here, then the style what you apply on this will also try to get applied on this as well. Then you have clash. Then you may have to resolve it by explicitly specifying in the CSS. That will come later when we are discussing about CSS. So yeah, that's it. Now this displays your gender. Note that just for demo purposes. Sorry. Yeah, one important thing is this radio button should have name and then some value, gender in this case. So this name value and this name value should be the same. Only then they'll be considered as one group, because this male and female, so both of them are the values for the gender. Note that this gender and this gender has no connection. You can just have something like this, a different name, gender value and gender value. As long as they are unique, that's fine. And only thing is, all the radio buttons who have to be grouped as together, they should have same value like this. Okay. And then yeah, so this value is like, so what is the default value when this is selected? So that value, this value is what is so whenever this radio button is checked, this is the value that is returned. So like here I declared an on change attribute, event attribute, and here I use a JavaScript. So in the JavaScript, what I do is I just get the radio value and then I display it, alert it. So if you see that radio value, the code, the bottom of it, so this is a radio value code. So what it does is so it gets the element by name, so the gender, and then it just checks. Note that only one of them will be checked. So why you have to give the same name? Because note that when you're moving, when you're selecting it, only one of them should be selected. So let's say since this is selected, this will be unselected. When I select this, this should be unchecked. So if it knows both of them are in a group, then it will do unselecting of the already selected item when you select something else. So that is where it helps having the same name. Is that clear? I mean, why you should have the same name value for the radio buttons? So because whenever you select some other radio button, the previously selected radio button should be unselected. So that's unselection happens only if all of them are in the same group, radio group. Radio group is identified with the name value, having the same name value. Is that clear? Can someone type in the chat window? Okay, got it. Saif Ali replied. Thanks, Saif Ali. Thanks, Karthik. Okay, that is purpose of having the same name value. Here I'm getting that element by name. So here since there will be multiple radio buttons, you are iterating using a for loop, and since you know that only one of them is checked, as soon as that item is checked, okay, that input box's value, you return it. So this value what is returned is same as this value what you specify here. So let's say I'm changing it to male value, and here this is female value, and then note that here I haven't done refreshing, so you just see only male here, and you see here only the female. So when I refresh it and then you check it now, you see female value. Okay, here female value, because I updated here this value. Okay, you change it back. So whatever you want the value, like say these values have got only meaning to you, that is the programmer. So you define what values you would like, what values to be returned when someone clicks on these radio buttons. So that's how, let's say the purpose is not to pop it using alert box. The purpose is once the user selects this, then using JavaScript, so you get a value. So you just write the small piece of code in JavaScript and get what value user has chosen, and that value you basically pass it on to the backend server in some form. Mainly it is in the HTTP URL form. Okay, so that's how you can use the radio buttons. And then it comes to donation. Yeah. So again, donation here I use like say a number. Okay, and you can here note that here I use a step value 10 or 100. So minimum is 100 rupees and maximum is how much I have, about 10 million rupees. Yeah. And then in terms of 100 rupees or $100, whatever. So when you come here, you can see, let's say if you click here, minimum start with 100, and when you increment it, it always increments by increments of 100. So that is the use of step. So let's say if you don't want to give anything, we can always select it and say you can enter value like this. That's also, so using this number you can have, and when you specify here you can see min and max. So the browsers will use this up arrow, down arrow, these icons, or you can directly click and then enter the value. So that is the purpose, and that explains what is the use of min, max, and then step. And next comes the address. Yeah. So note that for some input fields like address, where you input is not just the just a string or a number, so you may have to enter the multi-line text. So for the multi-line text, you use what is called text area. So the main attributes for this text area are like how many rows should be displayed, like how many columns width, basically the rows and columns. So that is the width and height of this rectangle box, what gets displayed here. You can see this is 3 rows and then those 32 columns. 32 columns, that is. And then, so this is, let's say, how much of data is accepted in this per row and so on. You can just try it out. So this is just like a text box, but you can give multi-line text here, and you can enter like this. So note that, so you can keep entering text, multi-line text like this. So again, it depends on the browser. How this basically the text area is for the multi-line text. You can scroll up and down. That's about the text area. And yeah, city also fine. It's also text. And yeah, I think that's it. I covered most of them. And note that you can have even footer as well. In the footer, let's say I would like to display some text as is here. Like for example, copyright text. Let's say the design of other form is a copyright of is okay myself. So when you want to display the like a copyright like that, so that always get displayed at the bottom. You can see which is a green stripe at the bottom. Note that so when you move the form up and down, so that footer always stays there. So actually it does not happen like that. So you have to style it if you want it to stick to the bottom. So yeah, styling of this form is all done here. So this is the long styling. So I don't want to cover font face now because that will cover in CSS3. What I would like to cover is very few things. So this required I already explained. Let me see if anything. Yeah, these are called vendor specific extensions. This also will cover later. Yeah. So note that on the input box I used a hover class. On the text also I used a hover class. Means whenever I put the cursor on top of it, the box shadow should change to a different color. That's the reason why. So you see here, this is now the gray color. Whenever I move cursor there, it changes to green color. When I click on it, it changes to blue color. So that styling. So clicking it is in focus. So yeah, hover is just this is a green color. If you see RGB, so that is 135 green. That is the hover. And yeah. So when the input or text area is in focus, focus is when you click on that input box. That's when it changes to some other color. So that color is red is 0 and other mix of green and blue 50 to 55. So that's what is in focus. That is this light blue color. So you see this is green. I'm clicking. It changes to blue color. So that clicking is what is affected by the focus :focus. That pseudo class. And yes, for example, so the input box I was telling that so whenever you use the label, so why focus? Yeah, Karthik asked a question. Why focus is given 3 times? Where is? Yeah. So yeah, see, focus is given 3 times because here I would like to specify that okay, for the button item, for the input box, for the text area, for all the 3 elements, when they become in focus, means when I click on them, then I want the box shadow should be displayed like this. Since I want the focus styling should happen on all the 3 attributes, sorry, on the 3 HTML elements: button, input, text area. All these are HTML elements. I want the same focus styling, so I have to repeat it 3 times. Is that clear? Is that clear, Karthik? Okay, great. So yeah, if you see the footer here, so the way to specify that okay, the footer should be there always at the bottom. So you have to give styling like this. You should give right is equal to 0, so bottom is equal to 0, and position is equal to fixed. And the text which is displayed in the footer is center. That center is aligned center. You see here, this is text is in the always at the center, irrespective of, even if you resize the window, it always remains at the center. That's how you, so you, like for example, what should be the background color? This is a green color and so on. what should be the font size. Since I don't want it to be in regular font size, I defined as 0.7 em. It's like about 70%, and so on. So you can define the styling like this so that it always remains at the bottom. So if you don't give it, it keeps moving along with the page, gently displayed at the wherever it is present in the HTML page. Yeah. For example, for the radio buttons, you have to style it explicitly like this. So you have to see float is equal to left and clear is equal to none. So you have to give it like input box, input element, and then type is equal to radio. So that gets applied to this. Like for example, where is that gender? Yeah, gender here. So inside this input element, the type is equal to radio, right? So this as is you have to specify in the style. For this styling is not applicable for all the input types, input elements, but only the input elements which have got type value as radio. Only for that, this is attribute selector, if you remember. So only for such elements, this style is applied. Similarly, since I used the male female, I suggested to use the span, but here I use label as well. Since the styling for this label and styling for this label, it's clashing. So I removed that conflict using the for attribute. So label, which I got the for attribute as M, for attribute as FM, stands for female, this is male. So because that's what I defined, this for M, for FM. So using that, you have to disambiguate like that, and then you have to give separate styling, so that styling for styling for this male and styling for this gender is different. But ideally, for male, this male and female text, you can use either. Ideally, I think span tag is ideal, and then style it. Yeah, Karthik asked a question: what makes the footer not move? So yeah, I explained. No, so it makes. See, when you said position is equal to fixed, okay, position is fixed means it's always fixed to that position. So I am specifying the position as the bottom from 0 pixels, from the right 0 pixels, from the right 0 pixels means from bottom right means from the rightmost corner. From the rightmost corner, it should be displayed. And left is also 0, means you should start with the left 0 as well. So that's why the whole what do you call the element, footer element, gets stretched, and it always sticks to the bottom. Okay. Yeah, I know. See, these things are very what do you call not very clear, direct. Sometimes, see, this is where you have to really experiment a lot. You have to play with these styling. Because note that this left bottom, all these attributes, there's all generic attributes, but how they should be used is what is basically it comes through experience, and then your how you understand them. So the more you experiment with them, the more you play with them, so the better you understand. So that the styling will be very easy. Once you know what to do, then you just go and change the style, it will be done. Okay. Yeah, these are, see, I said no position, this left, right, bottom, these are little they're very cryptic, they're not very direct. So you have to use them and then understand how the styling behaves. Okay. So yeah, there are a lot of other styles as well. Note that, so whenever you as you can see, even for such a small form, the style is this style sheet has become close to how many 200 lines. But for a very complicated page, for a very rich page, this styling may even go to few thousand lines. In that case, how well you organize these CSS styles in that page in the CSS file matters a lot, because scrolling through 2000 lines or a few thousand lines is really cumbersome. So whenever you're creating, one of the suggestion I did was, when you when you're creating this what do you call attributes, you always try to put them in the alphabetical order, like backgrounds, and then F, L, P, R. The first letter of these attributes should be in the alphabetical order. And similarly, so this footer, and then this button, these element tags also try to put them also in the alphabetical order if possible. So, and second thing is, so you have, like, say you have styling and using IDs like this height value, and you are styling using classes like this required and input option. So all of them, you put group all the class related styling, all the ID related styling, element related styling, in different groups, so that you know where to look for. So if you prefix them using the comments, using some unique string, you can search, then you can directly go there. These are a few the workflow conventions which you should use to make you productive. Okay, and even in this case also, there will be, you might be using a lot of pseudo element classes, pseudo element selectors and pseudo class selectors, and all of them you should put where appropriate, so that you should not be looking for them in the huge file. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Where is that? Yeah. For example, here I given the hover and invalid, valid, all of them. So these pseudo class declarations, you put them close to. See here, I'm using the text area and input. So these pseudo class related, pseudo element related styles also you put close to the where the input and text area styling is present, like here, just below that, so that you know that it's somewhere above or below. So similarly, you can see all the button related styling, I put it together. Note that sometimes it may not be possible, but as far as possible, try to group it in one place, so that you don't try to search for them. Is that clear? What are the best conventions while writing CSS? Okay. Note that see the your what do you call? No one will force you to to group it like this or like that only. So it is you as a web programmer should follow this styling convention, so that it is easy for you or for others also to read through your code and understand it. Okay. So any questions here? I think this covers more or less what I wanted to talk about HTML5 forms. And see, we did talk about the data list. Okay. And then, yeah, there are a few other attributes. Like for example, there's a autocomplete. Autocomplete means, see, if a user has already entered the text for example, your user ID or username, you don't have to enter them again and again. So the browser will automatically do it for you if you use autocomplete. Similarly, autofocus means as soon as a page is rendered, instead of you what do you call, pointing the mouse cursor on top of a particular input box and clicking it. So browser will automatically do that, will bring that input box in focus by autofocus. So yeah, this form method post, basically this whenever you are posting this little advanced topic, because this will make sense only if you are interacting with the backend. Basically, whenever you submit the form to the backend server, you have to specify what is the HTTP method you are using to post this, to send this form content. So there are two things. One is the yeah, one method which is used is the post. Okay, so I'll skip now. I think this little advanced. So basically, what are the method? Like for example, if you want to use a get method or post method, you should use that method name here. Yeah, for example, sometimes you may not want to the HTTP browser, sorry, HTML browser, the browser to validate your form. So in that case, let's say if you want to do the validation only at the back end for some reason, if you don't want form to be validated, then you give form no validate. Means the browser will not do the form validation. What it means is whatever you specified in the pattern are mandatory. All of them will not be checked by the browser. It will just submit it as is. Yeah. For example, I would like to cover one thing, like say type is equal to image. So input, you can give like type value as image as well. So yeah, here Karthik has asked a question, autocomplete. Now what is autocomplete? See, autocomplete is like, for example, so yeah, behavior is not very consistent across the browsers. That's the reason why I cannot demonstrate it. For example, if you entered some value, like example, where here name. So like this. Okay, now I entered the value here, and then I successfully submitted this form first. Now later on, let's say tomorrow, after a few hours or a few days, if you come back and give this information, like it knows that okay, for full name you entered as Srinivasulu Saya, and next time when you whenever there's another field, could be on the same website or a different website, and the full name, the field appears, then it will automatically fill in the Srinivasulu Saya as a value, even before you entering it. Means browser will automatically deduce what is your full name, and then will fill the value for you, so that it reduces your form filling time. So if you want browser to do that automatically for you, then you have to use autocomplete. So this is just a feature which will make form filling easier for the users. That's all. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I want to demonstrate one thing. This is regarding the type is equal to image. Yeah, you can see here. I'm just uncommenting this line. So note that you can give like for type is equal to. See, generally by default the browser will display the buttons. So, but if you don't want the default button which is displayed for button, you can use type is equal to button. So input. So you can use like this tag. Input type is equal to button. You can use this tag, or there's a button element itself. You can use this button elements. This is also fine. And then sometimes you have to give like submit. Okay, type is equal to submit also. So it will display the submit button. But if you don't want to display, if you don't want to use the default the button which is displayed with the browser, then what you can use any image. You can just create an image. Like for example, here I just taken some button image from the web. So for you can say input tag and type is equal to image, and says you have to, when you specify type is equal to image, then you have to specify what is the image that should be used to display the button. And of course you have to give the width and height for that. Ideally you should style it in CSS, but for simplicity I just put it here. Then you should give, in case that image is not present, then what is the text it should use to display. So this submit button.jpg, you can see here, this is the image. I think you can see on the left hand side. So in place of a default button, you would like to display that image. Okay, I'm just saving it. So note here on the right hand side nothing is there, left hand side. I'll just refreshing it. you'll see this button. So this button is as good as this save button here. So, but only thing is you have to associate on submit or on click the event to it. So once you click it, what are the action you need to take? That action you should code it inside JavaScript. So like this, you can create your own buttons using any the image editor, and you can specify that for the submit buttons. So is that clear how to use the different images for buttons? Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, here we did cover about discuss about min, max, and step. Okay, and even we discussed about pattern, placeholder, and yeah. So this is you can specify in the select field. You can specify multiple. Multiple means let's say normally for would like to use only user to select only one of them, as a student or fresher. Let's say sometimes professional can be a student as well. So let's say if you want to choose one multiples, then you have to give the multiple. So just the multiple attribute. Then user will be allowed to select more than one the pull down menu. So you can just copy paste this code inside the HTML, it will work. So I don't want to demonstrate because we have something more to cover. And we did discuss about text area. And similarly, let's say, like for example, a group of currencies like Indian rupees, Singapore dollars, you want to group them as Asian currencies, and then like European currencies, Swiss francs and euro, you want to group them as European currencies, and then you can define them using what is called opt groups. So these Asian currencies and European currencies, so let me just copy paste and demonstrate it. Yeah, here you can see the Indian rupee. So like Asian currencies and European currencies. So only they will be displayed as some subheading, and the values will be displayed inside. Note that Asian currencies and European currencies you cannot select, and only the bottom ones will get select. You will select like this. So that's when you can use this opt group. Basically, it is just grouping as some set of values. Like for example, you may within a country you want to divide the states, like for example, the eastern region, northern region, southern region. So then you can use these opt groups. Yeah, we did discuss about the gender and how to display the radio buttons. We did cover this, and how to style it. This also we covered. Okay. Yeah. Next comes. Yeah, any questions here regarding the forms? I hope it is clear to all of you how to use the forms. Any questions regarding the forms? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Rohan wants some opt group. So as I said, like see, let me just go back to the opt group. You want me to explain opt group again? See here, see normally what you would like to do is, let me just see, copy paste the same thing. Because of lack of time, I cannot spend time, but I'll just, yeah. Like see, ideally, you'd like to give like this. I'll just remove the opt group. Okay. So then I have two select elements, right? So in this select element, let me just format it. Yeah. Note that here my currencies are only 4 currencies. These 4 values: Indian rupee, Singapore dollar, euro, and Swiss franc. Okay. So let me just refresh it. Yeah, the left hand side one. You see here, all the four currencies are displayed. Note that all of them, so this can be a very long list. Let's say, for example, if you want to, if it is a long list like 10 or 20 items, then you have to really scroll down all of them. But rather than that, if you would like to have some category like this, Asian currencies, European currencies, which is like clear. And if you are from Asian country, then you know that okay, you have to look only under Asian currency, and then select only. So obviously, since you have the different groups for these options, and you can easily select the one value. Since you know that you are not from Asian European country, you will only look under Asian country. So that way, selecting basically searching through this options, pull down options, will be clear if you have defined this opt groups. So whatever you give an opt group here, the label, so that label gets displayed here. You can see here the thick. Okay, got it. So that's the only difference. It's just like to make the pull down menu look somewhat organized. That's all. Any more questions? Because the forms is one of the important the HTML element which you'll be using whenever you design the web pages. Okay, let's go back to our module 5.2. So in this, this is like this. In this module, we'll know how to embed audio and video inside HTML. So actually, embedding audio and video in HTML is quite simple and straightforward. So for embedding an audio element, you just so this is the general format of the audio element. So you have audio tag, start tag, and end tag, and within that, in the start tag, you have some attributes. So one of the important attributes is controls. So when you define the controls, that's when the player controls are displayed. Player controls, you mean like pausing the audio, like play the audio, like what you see on a regular tape recorder or on your CD player, for playing the or in your music player. Basically, those player controls. And yeah, so this is one of the important controls. Note that if you don't give this controls attribute inside this audio tag, then controls are not displayed. That means user does not have control to pause or start the audio. Means so it will be there, but user does not have any control. Yeah, there's something called autoplay. So when you specify this auto, like in place, like next to controls, if you say if you remove, say when you remove auto controls, then you should put autoplay. So what it means is, so as soon as the page is loaded, so the audio, once it is downloaded, it starts playing automatically. So user does not have any control to pause the audio or again resume the audio. So it just starts playing automatically. So this might be, I mean, if you use autoplay, you should have a very good reason why you do that, because it could be like some user don't want that audio to be played. He'll not be able to stop the audio. It will give a bad user experience. Therefore, I mean, you should use it rarely, where it's genuinely required to autoplay the audio, where user doesn't want to stop. So you can say autoplay, and then you can give controls as well. So then user will it will automatically start playing once the page is loaded, but it will display the controls as well. Then user don't want to listen, then they can pause it. So then that will give somewhat a better user experience. Ideally, if you just don't give autoplay and then only controls will be displayed, user will play whenever he or she wants. So that is the purpose of controls and autoplay. So yeah, so inside this audio, so which audio, like where to get this audio file from? So you have to give the source. The source of the audio file is defined in is specified inside the source tags. So source tag has got a very simple format. The tag is source and it doesn't have end tag. And in the source, you should give the URL where that file is present. And then what is the type of the audio? So here in this case, it is a audio MP3 format. This is in .AAC format, or it could be .wav format, and you can give more than one source. So what it does is initially it will try to download this source of this audio, which is specified in the audio, in the source attribute, and if it is present, it will download and then try to play that. For some reason, the browser is not able to play that, or if this source file is not present, which is specified in the first source tag, then it will go to the second source one, it'll download it and try to play it. Let's say if again it's not able to play, it will go to the third one, download it, and then try to play. So only if it exhausted with all the source options, then it will say that yes, audio could not be played. Some message like that. The first successful the source will be played. Is that clear? About the audio tag. So let me just demonstrate using an example. Yeah, I had the MP3 file. Let me just look for it. Yeah, for now I'll just download I have one MP3 file. I'll just copy from my audio collection. Yeah, so this is the MP3 file. I'm just copying it. I'm saving that file. So the file is here. Okay, MP3. So yeah, let me just. I didn't get time to. Let me just check if I have. Yeah, let me just create one file from the scratch. Okay. So let's remove audio. You can say audio video, and I'll remove this whole form itself. Okay, this one, and I'll remove this dead the tag as well. Okay, so this is the basic page. I'll copy paste. Yeah, so this is empty because I haven't defined anything. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this audio tag. I'll put it inside this. So here, so this file name, the file name where this file name, you have to take it and put it here. Okay, that's it. So if you have the same, normally if if your player is not able to play MP3, then for different formats, like it could be like say WAV format. So I'm just giving an example here. That it's not that I have a WAV format of this, and you can give WAV like this. So you have to give, I mean, what are the different formats of the same audio source. Let's render it. So you can see here, once you display audio tag, so this is what get displayed. So so this is, since I have given the controls here. So if you don't give the controls here, observe it, you will not get these controls. You see nothing is displayed. Therefore, you have to give the controls as well. So controls. Now I'm playing it. I know whether you're able to. You will not be able to hear audio because it's playing to my speakers. And you can just move forward like this, and you can increase you can mute it. You can reduce the volume. So this one. So you can again start from there. Pause, start, pause, all these controls. Okay. So that's about the playing audio. Like for example, if you play, if you give your autoplay. So note that as soon as you render, it start playing. So you have controls, it start playing. You can pause it if you don't want to. Yeah, Karthik asked a question. Audio display song name and how to do it. I don't think browsers do it yet because see what you're asking for is the display of meta information. Meta information is there as part of the song, and also so ideally, see if browsers wants to do that. I mean, some players do that. Since this is a very basic player, this is the see currently what are when you define audio tag. So the player what is playing the audio is the inbuilt player, which is part of the browser itself. So there are some external players which is like say they would have written in some external plugins, or it could be like Adobe Shockwave files player, or basically Shockwave players or other players. So those players are intelligent enough to extract this meta information from the MP3 file or audio file, and they will be able to display that meta information in the player window. But see, it depends on the browser. Currently, the most of the browsers don't display it. But yes, it's possible to do it in future. But the only thing is, this meta information varies from one format to another format where it is present, and the browser should be intelligent enough to extract that meta information from the MP3 file and then display it. So that will be like, since there are multiple formats, so it unnecessarily becomes overhead for the browser to display that information, and also to processing the encoding required to extract that information and display it. It will make the browser heavy. That's why they chose not to do that. If you use some custom players, then they'll be able to do that. So if there are multiple songs and user wants to choose them, songs, see currently if you have multiple songs, then you have to enclose using multiple audio tags. So then probably you may have to use some other controls, like some other elements, like probably you should have a it could be like select, or it could be like say unordered list. So enclose these audio elements inside the unordered list or ordered list or select with different options, and once that selected, then you should trigger or start playing this. So you should use embed other elements sorry, embed in audio element to give the list. But normally if you just give like this, okay, so like for example the same thing I defined. So it'll show like this too. So let's say if you want to know, let's say what is this contains, let's say you should use like say p tag, and then you should say Nagumomu, and you should have paragraph tags like this. And then of course, you should style it appropriately. Currently, even the styling will not happen. So yeah, so it's happening like this. So this you have to define using another element. And so this you can do like this, or you can use li tags as well. You can use li tag like this. It's up to you. It's all left to your creativity. Like this as well. So you can give. Yeah, but the only thing is if you do like this, so you might have to do again explicit tiling. So note that first one is with paragraph, the second one is with li item. So you may have to hide this button and so on. So using li items, you can give the list and let the user wants to play whichever he wants or she wants. Is that clear, Karthik? I was coughing and then I muted. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I hope you can hear me now. Yeah. So I have a throat infection. That's why I keep coughing, and I don't want to hear my cough. That's why I mute myself. Yeah. So I was telling him you can go to this W3 schools and then search for audio tag, and then look for here. In the audio tag, you can see that MP3 is supported by all the browsers here, and Wave is not supported by even IE doesn't support Wave format, where other browsers support it. OGG is the open source format, which only some browsers support it. And the MIME format is what you specify in the type audio MP3. So that one you can like MPEG, you can give MP3 or MPEG, OGG, Wave. These are only formats supported. And yeah, these are the different attributes. Like we use autoplay controls. Let's say if you want to keep playing repeatedly, then you use the loop attribute. If you want it to be like audio should be muted, then mute, like preload. So preload button, as you said, so basically when you specify the preload, then the audio will get preloaded in the background. So again, it depends on the browser and how they use it. The main attribute is source attribute, where you have to specify the source of the audio file. So this is the that's supported yeah, tags for this audio. Yeah, audio tag is very simple. But note that how it is rendered as an element on the browser varies from browser to browser. Okay. Note that like in HTML4, where people used to embed audio using the object tag like this. I don't want to demonstrate this. You can just copy paste. As long as this URL is valid, so it should work. Like what are the different parameters? I mean, you should give it, pass it to the backend server. So those are specified using parameters. These are the parameters which are basically used by the player, basically the browser, and as well as the backend. So note that here this is a this file. What is specified in this this source? Okay, this file is a shockwave file. Okay, and like that. So here allow full screen is true means where user, you will get a small icon on the right hand side if you are familiar with YouTube, where if you click that, basically it will become the whole audio will become the full screen. Whether to allow it or not, what is the default width and height, so you can specify using these values here. This is the old way of embedding audio, so you can just try it out yourself. Yeah. Next comes, yeah, we are almost 11:10. I'll take another just 5-10 minutes. Is that okay? We are just slipping by 5-10 minutes. Is that okay? Fine. We just think we are almost at the end of this slide deck. Yeah. So video also, the popular video formats are MP4, AVI. AVI stands for audio video interleave. The FLV, which stands for FLV player. I think this is called flash video or something. So this is FLV formats is by VLC player, and nowadays Windows Media Player also play most of these file formats. So basically there are different video formats are available. So one is WebM, which is supported by and owned by Google. So it is based on VP8. It's the video codec, and Vorbis is the audio codec. Actually, video codec and audio codec are the actually how this video and audio should be encoded using bits. So that format is, it's called video coding is done by video codec, audio encoding is done by audio codec. Similarly, there is a patent-free open standard format called OGG. This is a royalty-free, means anyone can use it on the web, but unfortunately it's not very popular yet. For that, in OGG, basically video codec is called Kiora and audio codec is called Vorbis. Note that in audio case, it might support like very high sampling rates. Like for example, normally the sampling rate will be by default at 8 bits. Sometimes even sampling frequency also you can vary. Like for example, our audio CDs will have high sampling rate and high sampling, high width samples as well. Like for example, 16-bit samples sampled at close to above 40 kilohertz or even more than that. So all that is determined by audio and video codec and how it should be encoded and so on. And MP4 uses H.264. It is I2E standard. This is used for audio video encoding. Yeah. So the way to encode, how do we use this video codec? So video codec is simple. Same way, like just audio. I remove this audio codec. Sorry, audio element. Now I have video. So let's say if you want to by default, as soon as the video is video element is displayed, you want to display some image. So I don't have this image. I will display it. Just specify that image here. Before a video gets playing, this image is get displayed. Similarly, you should have control and what is the width and height in which it should be displayed. And similarly, just like audio element, here you can specify the multiple inputs. So let me just use this. Yes, as.mp4. Okay, I'm just rendering it here. Note that there's since there's no poster, nothing is displayed, and let me start playing. See here, video start getting. So now you can just move the cursor. Yeah. So again, you can mute it, or you can increase the volume, decrease the volume, and so on. You can pause it. Okay, that's about like audio codec. Sorry, like audio element. So you can define the multiple sources as well in different formats. And if first one is not successful, it will use the second one, and so on. Let's say if you want to define, like for example here 320. If you want to make it smaller, let's say 360, and then this is layer 200. These are dimensions you want to display, and then so it display in a smaller dimension. Note that let us style it using. Yeah, now this video element I would like to style it using. Yeah, let me just open that, my style. Yeah, so here I have a lot of other things, so I'll just put the video at the bottom. So here I can put a video tag, so you can style it. So this is a width, so same thing which I copied. Note that here you should not put 360, you should put it as a pixels, and height is again 200 pixels. That's it. That's how you style it, the video element. Let's see where it works. Yeah, it works. So now if you want to change it to bigger font, let's say here 720. Here this is 400. Change it. Now you can see that's bigger font. Sorry, bigger rectangle. So now it's up to you to like so you don't have to, though that width and height are present inside the source and video tags. So rather than do it inside the HTML, you should do it in CSS, so that you separated structures from the styling. Okay, and autoplay and the controls, everything is like just like audio. Okay, and yeah, here are a few tips. You can just read through it. There's nothing much I can explain here. Just straightforward, you can read it and understand. Only thing is, with audio and video elements, limited styling is possible. Only few attributes are present to style it. At the most, you can display the border around this rectangle, and so on. Okay, if you want to give any like tagging on this audio video, you have to use either P or anchor or a span. Okay, such tags. Yeah. So one thing I would like to mention here is, let's say, so if you want to download that file, then on an anchor element you can specify anchor element, specify the href attribute, and give it to the source, and then specify the download attribute. So when you specify download attribute, when someone clicks on it, so it gets downloaded. Let me demonstrate that. So note that so this only gets played. Let's say here I would say P, download the video from here. Okay, then you should give an anchor tag and href, and then you should give it's in that s.mp4 the URL where it is present, and then give here then close the anchor tag and close the paragraph tag. So here if you specify the download attribute here, I think not all the browsers implement it, but if it is implemented, you can specify the download. So that's what I mentioned here, the download attribute. So let us see. So you see here, so yeah, when I click that, you see here that it got downloaded. That's how you can give a link to the users for downloading that. So normally most of the browsers, by just if you provide a link, they download it, but sometimes some browsers don't do that. They start playing it. So just to keep it consistent, they provided the download attribute, which means that your intention to download, not to play it. So you can use the download attribute for that purpose. Yeah, so these are the different MIME formats which you can go through, and yeah, that's it. So basically, for these different audio types, what are the file extensions, what are the MIME types, you can read through it. Yeah, so I'm done for today. Any questions here? So there are assignments. So at the end of this slide deck, so this assignment, you can just try giving creating this form. The same thing what I explained, I use it. I given as assignment, but try to see if you can get this the font, then coloring, and then layout as much as possible. At least try to get the basic form. And similarly, you can just play with embedding MP3 and MP4. Yeah, Rohan, yeah, good question. Rohan asked like how to submit the assignments. As I mentioned, see, once you are done, the HTML and the image files or MP3 files, whatever it is, you can just put it in a zip file and then attach it to the ticket. You can go to LMS website and go and create a support ticket. Create a support ticket, and you explain that okay, this is a assignment for so and so module, and then you put an instruction to the support team saying that okay, this should be forwarded to the instructor, and then attach that zip file. So they will forward that to me. So once I go through it, if you specify, like if I have your email, I'll reply back. I would suggest you to mention your email ID so that I can reply back directly to you, so that I don't have to waste others' time. So I'll go through your assignment submission, and then I'll give you feedback if anything I have. Okay. So yeah, unfortunately, we have to work assignment submissions offline. We don't have the system in place on your Eureka site where you go and submit the assignments. I think that's still under development. Yeah. Yeah, Rohan, I would suggest you to mention probably you can just create inside the HTML file itself. You can create what do you call one my contact details, something like that, a text file. There you mention it, so that I can always take that as a source to refer it. Is that fine? Okay, just have a like my contact information.txt file. You just mention there so that I can take from there. It's not that I don't want to make a note of it, but I think from here, let me see if I can make a note of it. So in case if it doesn't work, you can always put it there. Yeah, I made a note of it. So yeah, assignment submission is the time for assignment submission is before the next module starts. So for example here, since we have only overlapping Saturday Sundays back to back, not overlapping, sorry, back to back Saturday Sundays 2 days. So you can say time for this module 5 and 6 is until the next Friday. So before Friday, if you can submit it, if you give at least 1 day time in advance. So then I'll be able to go through your submission and then give the feedback. Otherwise, whenever I have time, I'll go through and then give the feedback. Thanks, Rohan. Yeah, by the way, but not last but not the least. Once I close the session, please give the feedback in the feedback form, because only if you give the feedback in the feedback form, that's when it goes to the Edureka system, and that's when everyone will come to know. So please fill in the feedback so that so we know how you are getting that, getting the class. Okay, so I want all of you to fill in the feedback. So if you have any questions, you can stay back. So please fill in the feedback, the least. Okay, I also request you to, as far as your time permits, complete the assignments, because unless you complete the assignments, you will not really appreciate what you learned. For example, just like audio, video, I just created the elements in front of you. It's just simple. See, if you don't do it, it will appear very complicated, but if you start doing it, it will be very simple. Yeah, good night, James. Anyone has any questions? Yeah. Okay. Okay, Rohan. Bye bye. Yeah, Saiful has a question. Yeah, see, Saifali, if you have a question on which is there ready in your mind, you can just straight away ask the question in the class itself. Okay, that's the best place to get your questions answered. But if you, let's say, during the class, the best time, but even after the class, if you have any questions, you can always raise a support ticket and ask the support team to redirect that question to me, and then I'll reply back. So I think as per Edureka policy, currently they want all the interaction between the instructor and the participants, they want it to be routed through the support team. So that is the procedure process they put in place. Let us follow the process. Yeah, I think definitely there could have been a better. There is something called a discussion forum where you could have posted your questions and I would have answered, so that others would also read that question and answer. Yeah, I think they're still working on that system. Yeah, you said you tried address tag. Yeah, so let me see if others are not. Yeah, Saifali, are you there? You are on the air. You can speak up now.
Yeah, I tried address tag.
So I didn't get your question.
Yeah. Pardon?
Yeah, I didn't get your question. You said that you tried the address tag and you wanted to change its position.
But I'm not able to change its position. I tried margin left, top. It got fixed in one position.
Okay. Okay, let me just try.
So I think margin left right is not working in Chrome browser. Maybe this is the issue.
Yeah, it's quite possible, because the address is also one of the new tags which not many browsers have implemented it. So,
but in W3 school I tried, it's working. So
yes, is it? Okay, then let me just see address tag. So you are seeing my screen, right?
Yep.
So where's the address tag? Address tag is there. Just give me 1 minute, Saifali. I'm just.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll just take 1 minute break.
Yep.
Yeah, Saifali, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's take the same example what he has given, and let's see. Okay, I'm copying from the same W3 schools, and let me put written by, say, Srinivaslu. So and then here mail to, here it will give like sayasri@gmail.com. Okay, let's change it. And so on. Yeah. Okay, let's have this, and let's display that. Yeah, this is what gets displayed. Let's remove that anchor. Fine. So now you wanted to now style it, right?
Yeah.
What you wanted to style?
Margin left.
You wanted to change the margin left. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's see whether the margin left. See, it is supported in all the browsers.
Yeah. Yes.
And yeah, so there's a global attributes. Only global attributes are present. And see display block font style. And then yes. Let's go back here and defining a style. So I'll give margin left, let's say 30 pixels. Okay, and say margin top 50 pixels. Let's say it. See, it's getting positioned. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So let's just say I remove it. I remove the styling. So this is without styling, left hand side. So now I put the styling back. So let's put it in what 10%. And let's give in terms of percentages, 20%, and margin top is also 20%. Okay, so it will be clear. You can see it got positioned.
Yeah.
So since that, okay, you want to give width, you can give width as well. Width, like say you want 50 pixels. So yeah, now it's vertical. Now you can give 150 pixels. It gets style. Or let's increase it again. Let's say 450. Yeah. So it is doing styling, right? And so here, like say I used the brakes. I think there are brakes. That's why you don't see them. So if you remove the brakes, so it get displayed. Yeah. Yeah, as I said, only some attributes may be applicable for address. So you have to just yeah, try them like this. Okay. So did that answer your question?
Yeah. I tried
Yeah, so if you want to change it,
maybe some browser issue. I don't know.
exactly. See, it depends. Like, say, it could be a browser issue, or the where you place the style, or you would have misspelled something. See, the problem with these HTML and CSS thing is that even if you say something, if you spell something wrong, so browser is silently just ignores that, and then whatever is the best, the default, so it will just do it. So it will not throw any error. So to see what are the errors, you have to go to your developer tools and then see if there's any error. So if you remember, using Firebug or developer tools in Chrome browser, so you have to go there and then see if something is wrong. So here, so more tools and then developer tools, and go and select that element. So like this, and there is anything wrong, so it will show in this. Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, most of the times it will browser will keep quiet. They won't throw an error. Why they don't throw errors in the browser? Because they just to give a good user experience. Even something is wrong, see, note that the world is not perfect. See, sometimes people have different browser, different versions, and there are a lot of things which can go wrong. When things go wrong, see, if you don't display the page, it gives very bad feeling for the user. Even though it's not in a very well presented format, at least what they're interested in the information. If they're desperate for information, if you don't then show the information, they'll feel bad. They'll get disappointed. So idea is, even though things are wrong, things are not perfect, so at least you'll show the information what he's looking for.
Yeah.
So that is the intention. That's why even if there's some things are wrong, just simply ignore it and then they proceed further. Whatever the best they could do, they'll display it. That is the intention. That is one of the design decisions they took it consciously. So it could be like, say, mostly in HTML and CSS, any errors silently they are ignored by the browser. Only in JavaScript, JavaScript also most of the time it will be ignored. Only thing at least they'll throw error inside the JavaScript console window. But there also, but yeah. So sometimes it might get missed out because not all the users will see that errors. Idea is at least to the user, don't give anything scary.
Yeah.
Don't show. That is intention. So if you can just change the color as well, like color to blue or anything you want. So yeah.
You change
So
the
sorry, I did it on video. Sorry,
Yeah.
I did it on video. Okay, here say blue or green. So everything gets changed to green.
Yeah.
You can style it the way you want. And basically, yeah, since the address text is also text, almost any attribute that is valid for a text property, element, text. So it will be applicable for this as well.
Yes.
See, address, the main reason for introducing address is that, especially in the contact us page, most of the companies, they will put their address, right? Currently, they using the paragraphs and then breaks and sometimes divs, but there is no unique way of identifying where the address is present inside the HTML page.
Yes.
To solve that problem, they created this address tag so that what you need to do is now, if you want to find out the address, irrespective of where it is present in the page, it could like say 10,000 lines page, still you don't have to search for it. Just look for it. In JavaScript, you said get element by tag, and then give address. That's it. Irrespective of where it is, so it will fetch that address, and you can access it address of the that enterprise very easily. That was the purpose. And also basically the search engines, they can make use of it because it can efficiently extract that address information. But not many people know about it. But since since not many people use it, it's still not very useful. But over a period of time, once all the web developers get educated over a period of next 5 to 10 years, so you people are very lucky to have that you know these things upfront of this course. But believe me, at least 90 to 95% of the web developers don't know these tags because they're happy. They're happy with whatever they're doing. They don't enhance their skills. They don't read. Most of the people don't know where the HTML5 standard exists. Believe me.
Yes.
Right. So you, since I've given as a reference, you people know it. So whatever so this is the official reference. Like what you see now in the web page, this is the official worldwide standard. Irrespective of whether it's a Microsoft, Google, or anyone, everyone has to refer to this page to see what is the HTML5 standard. I'm sure 98% of the web developers don't know this. I'm talking about worldwide.
Yeah.
Right? And this is an authentic source. How, see, note that this is the standard. So the browsers may implement it correctly, may not implement correctly. That is a browser problem, not standard problem. Because all these companies are there in the, this is a standard body standards committee, and they accept it. Just they're in the process of implementing it. But only one problem is, here, when you go to, for example, required, it might be very user-friendly description they are given here. Sometimes it might look very complicated, but yes, but that's how they define standards. So, so they reasonably they are given like examples, and then they describe. But yeah, if you refer to other sources like W3 schools, where they're given much more user-friendly manner.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any other question, Saifullah?
No, thanks.
Okay. Okay then. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah,
Bye-bye.
please fill in the survey feedback.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye, good night.
Have a nice weekend.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.